Geologists drilling the deepest hole ever made on Earth, a Soviet borehole that punched 12 kilometers into the planet's crust in Russia's remote Arctic. Pulled out core samples from the bottom that contained fossils from 2 billion years ago, discovered liquid water at depths where it shouldn't exist, found mud boiling with hydrogen, and hit temperatures so extreme the rock stopped being rock and started behaving like plastic. But what made every scientist go silent wasn't what they found. It was that every single prediction about what should be down there turned out to be completely wrong, proving everything geology textbooks taught about Earth's structure was based on false assumptions. And when they finally stopped drilling in 1992 and sealed the hole forever, one terrifying fact remained. We know more about the moon's surface than what's beneath our feet, and the deeper they drilled, the more impossible and unexplainable everything became. And what's really down there is stranger than anyone predicted. If you care about what Soviet geologists actually found 7.6 miles beneath the surface, and why microscopic plankton fossils discovered in 2 billion-year-old rocks completely changed our understanding of ancient life on Earth, share this everywhere. Because what came out of the Kola super-deep borehole proved that every assumption geologists made about the planet's interior was wrong. And the deeper they drilled, the more impossible things became. Before we break down exactly what was in those core samples, why the absence of the Conrad discontinuity shocked the entire geological community, how liquid water existed at depths where pressure and heat should have vaporized it, and what happened when 5 kilometers of drill string twisted off and broke in 1984 after they celebrated reaching 12,000 meters, subscribe to this channel for the discoveries that rewrite what we know about the planet we live on. First, you need to understand that the Kola super deep borehole wasn't just about drilling a deep hole. It was a race to unlock the secrets of Earth's interior. In the late 1950s, at the start of the space race, the US and Soviet Union began a different contest to see who could go deeper into the Earth, perhaps even all the way to the mantle. The first attempt to drill through the crust was undertaken by the United States in the early 1960s. It was an ambitious attempt because the objective was not to simply drill into the crust, but to drill all the way through it and into the mantle. In the spring of 1961, 5 holes were drilled off the coast of Guadalupe Island, Mexico, under Project Mohole, which was described by one historian as the Earth Science's answer to the space program. It was chosen to drill through the seafloor because the Earth's crust was thinner under the oceans. The hole reached only 183 meters before the government pulled funding and the project was abandoned in 1966. Then the Soviets began their attempt. In 1970, the Soviets launched their attempt, drilling into Earth in Murmansk, Russia, just outside the Norwegian border, near the Barents Sea. The Kola Super Deep Borehole project housed scientists and drillers in that remote location from 1970 to 1994. Drilling at Kola SG-3 began on 24 May 1970, using the Uralmash 4E, a serial drilling rig used for drilling oil wells. The rig was slightly modified to be able to reach a 7,000-meter depth. In 1974, the new purpose-built Uralmash 15,000 drilling rig was installed on site, named after the new target depth, set at 15,000 meters, 49,000 feet. The project required the invention of a new type of drill bit. Previously, drilling was accomplished by twisting the entire drill pipe to turn the bit, but the drill string weight for this hole would be over 1 million pounds. So Russian scientists invented a rotary bit that spun at the end of the drill pipe. The drill pipe could then just slide down the hole while pressurized drilling mud caused the bit to spin. In 1979, they broke the world depth record held by the Bertha Rogers hole in Oklahoma, United States, at 9,583 meters. By 1983, the drill had reached an unbelievable depth of 12 kilometers. In 1983, the drill passed the 12,000 meters mark, and Soviet scientists erupted in jubilation. For a year, the drill lay idle, as delegates from the scientific community and politicians visited the site to witness the unique drilling project. The rusty drill bit used to drill to the unprecedented depth was displayed to those who visited. A postage stamp with image of the site and special cancellation envelopes were quickly released. But the celebration would prove costly. While everyone was busy celebrating, the drill lay uncared and unrepaired. Consequently, when drilling commenced a year later, a 5-kilometer section of the drill string twisted and broke off. After all attempts to recover the broken section failed, drilling was restarted from a depth of 7 kilometers. It took another 5 years to reach its final depth of 12,262 meters. The third hole reached 12,262 meters, 40,230 feet, in 1989. For perspective, the hole's depth is the height of Mount Everest and Mount Fuji placed on top of one another. It's also deeper than the deepest point of the ocean, the Mariana Trench, located in the Pacific Ocean at a depth of 36,201 feet, 11,034 meters, below sea level. And what they found at those depths rewrote geology textbooks. The Kola super-deep borehole reached over 7.5 miles, 12 kilometers, penetrating rocks over 2.5 billion years old. This age dates back to the transition between the Archean and the Proterozoic periods of the Earth's geological record. The first shocking discovery: water where it shouldn't exist. Water pooled 3 to 6 kilometers below the surface, having percolated up through the granite until it reached a layer of impermeable rock. This water did not naturally vaporize at any depth in the borehole. By the knowledge we had back then, water simply shouldn't have existed at those depths, and yet, there it was. Now we understand that even deep granites can get fractured, and those fractures can get filled with water. Then came the hydrogen. Researchers also reported the extraction of mud, which was boiling with hydrogen. Such large quantities of hydrogen at these depths were completely unexpected. The drilling mud that flowed from the borehole was described as boiling with hydrogen. It has since been discovered that most of this gas was probably created through a process called serpentinization. This is the process of hot water in the Earth's crust altering minerals in rocks, transforming FeMg silicates such as olivine into serpentine minerals. One of the byproducts of this process is the production of free hydrogen. But the most stunning discovery came from the ancient fossils. Without a doubt, the biggest surprise was the discovery of life. Microscopic plankton fossils in rocks over 2 billion years old, found 4 miles beneath the surface. They also found microscopic plankton fossils at depths of 6 kilometers. At the time, finding those fossils came as a shocker. Now, research has shown that life can exist even in oceanic crust. Then came the discovery that destroyed fundamental geological assumptions. One of the most surprising discoveries was the absence of the expected transition from granite to basalt between 3 and 6 kilometers below the surface. This transition, known as the Conrad discontinuity, was previously believed to exist based on seismic reflection surveys. During the drilling process, the expected basaltic layers at 7 kilometers down were never found, nor were basaltic layers at any depth. There were instead more granites, deeper than predicted. The prediction of a transition at 7 kilometers was based on seismic waves indicating discontinuity, which could have been caused by a transition between rocks or a metamorphic transition in the granite itself. In other words, everything geologists thought they knew about what was beneath their feet was wrong. The seismic data had been misinterpreted for decades. And then came the heat, far more than anyone predicted. At depths in excess of about 10,000 feet, researchers started to notice that the temperature increased faster than expected, and the first problems started to occur. Temperatures continued to grow more than the expected values, and by the time the hole reached its maximum length, the temperature was a whopping 180 degrees Celsius, 356 degrees Fahrenheit, instead of expected 100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit. There, the heat was nearly double what they expected, and the rock became plastic, oozing back into the borehole. They tried for a few years to go deeper, but could not. At these depths, the rock density means that it acts more like a thick plastic than rock, making drilling almost impossible. It has been compared to keeping a pit in the center of a pot of hot soup. These high temperatures can also cause damage to equipment. The drill bit could no longer work at such temperatures, and drilling was stopped in 1992. Engineers hoped to reach 15,000 meters by 1993, but the temperature was much higher than expected, about 180 degrees Celsius, and that wreaked havoc on the equipment, and it was decided that drilling deeper was not feasible. Drilling of the fifth hole started in April 1994, from 8,278 meters of depth of the third hole. Drilling was stopped in August 1994 at 8,578 meters of depth due to lack of funds, and the well itself was mothballed. The entire project was closed down in 2005 due to lack of funding. All the drilling and research equipment was scrapped, and while data produced by the Kola drilling project continues to be analyzed, the site itself has been abandoned since 2008. The hole was welded shut by the metal cap we still see today, as if to seal off any devils or mysteries that might lurk beneath. Today, hidden among rotting wood and sheets of scrap metal, sits a small, unassuming, heavy-duty maintenance hole cover, secured into place with a dozen large, rusting bolts. Underneath, and virtually unseeable from ground level, at just 9 inches, 23 centimeters, in diameter, is the world's deepest man-made hole. And while the Kola Super Deep Borehole remains the deepest vertical hole ever drilled, its record for total borehole length has been surpassed. In 2008, an oil well drilled at Al Shaheen oil field in Qatar reached depth of 12,289 meters, beating the Kola Super Deep Borehole and becoming the longest borehole in the world. But in terms of true vertical height, the 9-inch wide Kola Super Deep Borehole still retains the title of the deepest borehole. What the Kola Super Deep Borehole proved is profound. We know more about the surface of the moon than the bottom of the ocean or the inside of our own planet. One thing is absolutely certain. Geologists drilled 12,262 meters, 40,230 feet, into Earth's crust, reaching rocks 2.5 billion years old from the Archean period. They pulled out 2-billion-year-old microscopic plankton fossils from 6 kilometers deep, discovered liquid water pooled 3 to 6 kilometers beneath the surface, found mud boiling with hydrogen in completely unexpected quantities, and proved the expected Conrad discontinuity transition from granite to basalt at 7 kilometers doesn't exist. Temperatures reached 180 degrees Celsius instead of the predicted 100 degrees Celsius, causing rock to behave like plastic and ooze back into the borehole. In 1984, 5 kilometers of drill string twisted off after they stopped for a year to celebrate reaching 12,000 meters. They finally stopped drilling in 1992, when equipment couldn't survive the heat, and sealed the 9-inch wide hole forever in 2005. Every prediction about what should be beneath our feet turned out to be wrong. The deeper we drill, the stranger it gets, and we've barely scratched the surface. Stay tuned.